Meanwhile, the fight between Nonito Donaire and Guillermo Rigondeaux for world supremacy at 122 pounds was an intense and dramatic counterpunching festival, as we expected it to be. One last note of credit to both fighters. They both tested with voluntary anti-doping agency all the way through their training camps randomly. We know they were clean of performance-enhancing drugs entering the ring tonight. At the end of the day, when Donaire says that he did not prepare as best he possibly could for the fight, I could not agree more. He set the table for Rigondeaux to do what he wanted to do and win a unanimous decision in the fight. Will we see them again against each other? Well, Donaire just told you that if it happens, it has to happen at 126 pounds, where maybe he'll be fighting other opponents instead. Thanks very much for being with us on this special edition.
You know, I actually made a prediction video for this fight, but I never uploaded it, and mainly because I just moved about 5 days ago, and I'm still kind of in transition of sorting, you know, stuff out, placing stuff where it need to be. You know how moving can be kind of hectic. And even besides moving, I've been, you know, a little busy with other stuff. But I thought about this fight for a long time before I made that prediction that never got uploaded. And I came to the conclusion, you know, because this fight is two very good fighters facing each other. You know, I think, honestly, that this fight was to the caliber of a Mayweather-Pacquiao for these super bantamweights. But I came to the conclusion that if Donaire did not knock out Rigondeaux, he would not beat Rigondeaux. And basically, Rigondeaux proved me right tonight what I thought about all along. The thing with Nonito Donaire is that his best attribute actually is his power. I think Donaire is just a little bit overrated, and that's not to say that he's a bad fighter or he sucks or he stinks when you're calling a fighter overrated. That's just to say what the public, the general public, the media, the boxing so-called experts put him up to be. He's not exactly that. He's a little bit hyped up, you know. He's a little bit overrated, and there's nothing wrong with that because there's a lot of fighters that's overrated, but it doesn't make you a bad fighter because Nonito Donaire is a very good fighter. As a matter of fact, I think the two best bantamweights fought tonight. Now, you can't leave Abner Mares out, obviously, but I felt the two best guys fought tonight, in my opinion. But you got to keep a watch out for Abner Mares, who is another guy I think that is a bit overrated, but that's another story. Donaire doesn't have a consistent jab. You know, I never look at Donaire like a boxer. I look at him as like a unique fighter. You know, he doesn't really have a jab consistently, or you know, throw a 1-1, a 1-2, or a double jab with a followed by a straight right. He doesn't do these essential fundamental things that a boxer usually would do. Donaire is more of an athletic fighter that can come from different angles, and no matter what angle he's coming from, he can catch you with his power. He can break the elements of boxing much like a Roy Jones or say a Sergio Martinez type guy, for the fact that he doesn't have to have the regular stance. He can give you different looks. He can jump in wild and crazy sometimes with a hook. And the guy's power, like I said, is his best element, because when he catches you with a punch that maybe isn't thrown correctly, that you wouldn't teach a fighter to throw like that, Donaire can put your lights out with that type of punch because he has the element of power. But I've never seen Donaire throw like a consistent jab even throughout one round. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he has, but I can't remember the last time I seen that. Donaire is just an athletic, unique fighter that is very dangerous, and he has good thinking ability. He can set you up. Don't get me wrong about what I'm saying. Donaire can set you up for the knockout. You know, he has a a good ring IQ. He's a unique fighter. I've seen him set guys up, you know, fall back, bear you into his trap, and set you up for the knockout. But I think what everybody from vids I was watching, you know, some people picked Rigondeaux to win the fight, but a lot of people picked Donaire, and a lot of people I saw pick Donaire to end this fight by knockout, which I thought was very possible if Rigo couldn't take his power. But honestly, I was leaning towards Rigo. And when I made the prediction that I never uploaded, I had Rigo winning by unanimous decision as well. And I thought it would, the unanimous decision that he would win would be by the scorecards. Like, you know, how the scorecards were read, you know, maybe by a 2-3 point difference with all the judges. So a close unanimous decision if we're breaking it down in points wise according to scores. But the scores that they gave us, how I thought it would be, it definitely wasn't, because I can't give Donaire more than 2 rounds, to be honest, in this fight, and that's being generous. Because 1 round we know for a fact he won. Maybe give him another round, 2 rounds at best. The scorecards, even Julie Letterman, who had the fight stretched out the furthest apart out of the other 2 judges, I don't agree with that scorecard. You know, I thought it was a wipeout. I thought Guillermo Rigondeaux took him to school. A lot of defensive, Guillermo Rigondeaux has a good defense, no doubt about that. But sometimes he does make mistakes, especially when he throws a power shot, you know, from the southpaw stance. I feel he leaves himself open sometimes. It's something I noticed. And I thought Donaire might take advantage of that. But Rigondeaux's defense, he's always a good defensive fighter, but sometimes he makes mistakes. Rigondeaux's defense tonight was the best I ever saw it. I mean, you can basically see one guy took this fight so serious and prepared and fought at his best tonight. You got to be a fan of boxing. You got to be a fan of the art, the craft of boxing to respect what took place tonight. One guy did his homework, the other guy didn't. Now, as far as Donaire mentioning about shoulder problems, you know, he hasn't mentioned it in any other fight, so to me, that's irrelevant. I think the whole thing with this fight is, and of course the Donaire fanatics will come up with excuses. Listen, these guys that are like Donaire, Pacquiao, Mayweather, you got to knock them out unconscious in order for people to shut their mouth. Otherwise, I'm sure there's people that will argue that Donaire won this fight. I don't know how you argue this shit out. You know, they show the what is it, the Facebook or tweet polls or whatever it is, that 33% of the people thought, you know, Donaire won, and the other 60-some% thought Rigo won. I don't know how you get that 33%. Like I said, man, some of these guys, you got to knock them out unconscious. You got to give Donaire the Pacquiao treatment in order to shut up his fanatics. But regardless, the right guy won. You can tell the robbery was fixed just by the scorecards, because let's say Donaire had knocked Rigo down, managed to knock him down again for a second time. Perhaps maybe we're looking at a draw right now, or Rigo straight getting robbed with a loss. So thank God Rigo took it in his own hands, and he was the judge tonight, and he completely schooled Donaire. He made him. Donaire hit air way more times than he hit Rigondeaux. I mean, he made him look bad. And like Donaire said, he didn't do his homework. But the thing is, in my honest opinion, I think even if Donaire had did his homework and took the fight more serious, he probably would have won more rounds, but he wouldn't have won the fight. I can't see Donaire winning more than 4 rounds against Rigondeaux. What we find out tonight, and some people already knew, is that Guillermo Rigondeaux is a special fighter. I'll never forget when Nazeem broke it down. Nazeem Richardson, trainer of Bernard Hopkins, former trainer Shane Mosley, trainer of so many good fighters. I'll never forget when he broke it down and he said, you know, you got good fighters, you know, you got great fighters, you got elite fighters. I can't remember if that's how the order goes. And then you got special fighters. I think that's how the order goes. But Guillermo Rigondeaux is a special fighter. Nonito Donaire's an elite fighter, but Guillermo Rigondeaux's a special fighter. You know, and you know, it's funny that Donaire is used to hurting guys, you know, knocking guys out, and I think he was a victim to his own success, because when you can't hurt a guy, you can't knock a guy out, Not so much due to chin, but just due to this guy has great defense. At least he's displaying it tonight. Great defense. Rigondeaux barely made any mistakes. Tonight, he was sharp. And you can't knock the guy out, then what? You know, because like I said, this isn't a guy that has a consistent jab or is throwing your you know, fundamental 1-2 combinations, you know, 1-2-3s. No, Donaire is a guy that's looking to land that shot, and he'll jump in, he'll lunge, he'll do it from some weird angle, and he'll get you with it. You know, I thought Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. actually outboxed Donaire in certain spots that showed me Donaire had vulnerability in terms of boxing. I always thought, you know, Donaire is definitely an athletic fighter with power, but I don't look at him as a boxer. I mean, out of these two guys, it was easy to see that Guillermo Rigondeaux is a pure boxer. Now, I think the overall lesson what we learned tonight is that the amateurs is the amateurs. Trust me, I'm a fighter, I know. The amateurs is the amateurs, the pros is the pros. But when one has so much experience, and you gotta remember, fighting is fighting. The amateurs is judged different than the pros. That's the major difference. I'll repeat that. The amateurs is judged different. The way they score the fight, it's judged different than the pros. That's the major difference. But remember that fighting is fighting. Boxing is boxing. And when one man has fought well over 400 fights, he has a lot of experience in a boxing ring. He has a lot of experience fighting. So when he goes pro, that enormous fighting experience that he has, be it amateur, makes him a very well-rounded pro. I think Donaire learned that tonight. I think some of you boxing fans learned that tonight. And some people already knew. Guillermo Rigondeaux is a special fighter. And he proved it tonight. What's next for him? I don't know. Honestly, because he's not going to be a big ticket seller. I understand how the sport is. This doesn't win him any fans. But you respect the art of boxing and you know how good this man is. Me, all I can think of is Abner Mares versus Guillermo Rigondeaux as a next fight, you know. That's all I can think of currently right now. But this fight was very entertaining to watch because I respect the art of boxing. And I wish Guillermo Rigondeaux success. And the Cubans, man, y'all should be happy, man. You got a guy that's sitting on top of the world right now. I don't know where he's at pound for pound, but goddamn, motherfucker did it with what, in 12 fights? That's amazing, man. Simply amazing. Slideways 100, I'm out.